For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans, and we have a glorious day in store for you today.
Man, you're not a kid. And I swear, every single day with President Trump in office is like Christmas morning. You wake up and there's something that's happening because the man never sleeps. There's always something, so much winning going on. I'm not tired of it yet, but I do have to ask, are we having fun yet? Because I sure am. As always, guys, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. Leave your comments in the chat. We'll do our best to give you guys a shout out. Kind of like this in the Rumble chat. We already got Kelly Song, Dan Dreyer. We got Sean over here in the Getter chat. We got Andres in the Ex-American News chat. And then we got Kristen, Thaddeus, Demir, all over here in the X chat on my channel. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We've got an awesome show, awesome guests lined up for you guys. Paul Harrell, welcome to the show, man.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. This is this is a real treat, right? So, and like you said, it is like Christmas morning every day when we wake up because, it's what a time to be alive. In my lifetime, we're actually seeing everything that, folks on the right have been saying for years being not only exposed, but being confirmed, from conspiracy theories to, wasteful government spending to the idea that the entire system is rigged against the American people and we have a government that hates us. All of that coming to light.
Oh, yeah, and in really it's almost unbelievable ways. And we got some breaking stories, too, we're going to keep our eyes on throughout the show this morning. They should be doing the confirmation vote right now for RFK Jr., so if he gets confirmed, we'll try to let you know as soon as that happens. And we got a couple other stories we're keeping our eyes on. The Religion of Peace struck again in Germany early this morning, U.S. time. Looks like they ran over 20 people. Looks like it was an Afghan migrant, so we're keeping our eyes on that. But I guess let's just go ahead and jump in.
Hold on really quick. Do all the headlines say the car did it? Because remember they were doing that. Like the car ran in. It wasn't a terrorist. It wasn't some crazy person. It was the car drove into the crowd of people. I remember they were doing that. And then I do have some breaking news. President Trump just fired the remaining Biden-appointed U.S. attorneys effective immediately.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Good. Well, we'll definitely be getting more into that. Well, let's just start off here right at the top. Why is this not making headlines? Over $2.7 trillion in fraudulent U.S. government payments discovered. Carolyn Levitt responds. And this is through the Medicare system. They did an audit going back to the early 2000s. $2.7 trillion. I mean, that's almost $3 trillion of our federal debt that was given out fraudulently, and we better be going back to recoup this money, file criminal charges against institutions and individuals that stole from us. I mean, I don't care if we've got to build a bigger prison. It's time for some results here.
Yeah, didn't I see that a lot of those people were all, living overseas? So these are payments going to people that don't even live in this country. And so you would think this would be something that the Democrats would be all over, right? I mean,
yeah,
they're always, they've always been about, the Republicans are the ones that are going to throw grandma over the cliff. These are those entitlement programs. And so, I mean, we can always have a discussion about entitlement programs or welfare, but I think we can all agree that these payments need to go, these programs need to go to Americans, right? So how many of these people overseas are not even Americans?
Yeah. Well, well, here, real quick, then I'll pass it off, Derrick. But you would think like they could automate something in the system too, so it would automatically red flag any payment going to a foreign entity or foreign address. Now, maybe some of those are legitimate. Maybe we're buying a big stockpile of some kind of medication from, say, a company in Germany or whatever. So maybe some of them are legitimate. But at the very least, you could think there could be some type of review to make sure we're not just shoveling cash into a blast furnace.
Well, yeah, and I mean, once again, guys, this number is so huge, and we were talking about it all fair. I mean, we're talking $2.7 trillion in fraud. This doesn't just happen. Like, this is absolute fraud. It's not all waste. It's not all abuse. There is a difference, but there's a lot of this that is fraud. And to your point, we are going to have to start arresting some of these people. I know we've only been in here a month so far, so I do think that's going to come down the road. But anybody who knowingly and purposely defrauded U.S. taxpayers, they should be held accountable and they should be thrown in prison for those actions.
100%. I totally agree. I mean, it's insane. And I caught your show. We talked about this off air, but I caught your show a couple of days ago when you guys were talking about just how much $1 billion is, just how much $1 trillion is. And I posted it in the comments because this is the only way I can conceptualize it, that $1 trillion is $27 million a day for 100 years with a little money left over. And so when you start to think about just how much money that is, you realize really quick that, I mean, they think it's monopoly money, and it very much is. They've got a printing press, right? And so this is all about just rewarding your friends and punishing your enemies. And forever, the Uniparty has been, rewarding those who are going to prop up this corrupt financial system.
100%, man. What's going on? I can't hear you, Mike.
There we go. Don't know what happened there. Sorry, Derrick, go ahead.
It's all good. I was just saying, it's a good point because, I mean, I think back to sometimes when I was a little kid, like trillion wasn't even like a number you even heard. I mean, that was something that you said when it was the biggest number you could think of as a kid.
It's made up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's basically a number you're just making up.
Yeah. Well, Dan Dreyer is asking, how in the heck are dead people cashing checks right now? Which is a good question as well on all of this. How are dead people cashing the checks? Who's profiting from this?
Well, exactly. And to your point, a lot of this, well, here we go. Lee Zeldin reveals shocking abuse by EPA's $20 billion parked outside a financial institution at last minute heist. And now this is $20 billion, again, going to friends of the regime, to people. Biden, and it isn't just this $20 billion. This $20 billion is sitting with 8 NGOs right now, still waiting to be distributed. But they shoveled $100 billion out the door between when the election occurred and before Trump was inaugurated. 80 billion of it's gone. We can't do anything about it. But this other 20 billion went out the door to NGOs. It appears to be illegally unallocated for anything. So there is going to be an effort to claw this back. But again, it just shows exactly what you're talking about, Paul, where they're rewarding their friends and allies. We need to know who's getting kickbacks on this. And it's another $20 billion. And again, in the grand scheme of things, the left is saying, oh, it's only $20 billion. That's nothing. Well, all this adds up. They've already found trillions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse. And, we really should be trying to claw back that entire $100 billion they rammed out the door at the last possible minute.
So when the king is dead, all of the minions are going to start to raid the Treasury. I'm reminded of that scene, and forgive me if this is crude or dumb or nerdy. But that old movie Hook, right, where you've got Smee, who and Hook, they're going to lose. All the pirates are losing, so Smee just starts loading his pants full of gold, trying to escape, right?
Yes,
like that's what's going on. And I will also add with this, every single time. There was like a bad headline during the election and, it wasn't looking good for Biden or wasn't looking good for Kamala. Then we would get this headline of, another 500 million to Ukraine or another billion to Ukraine. And now we know with Zelensky coming out and saying, yeah, that money, I don't know where it is. We didn't get all of it. We didn't get the whole 200 billion or whatever it was. Every time that happened, my suspicion was, oh, well, they're basically laundering the money. They're saying it's going to Ukraine, but it's going to end up going, to some U.S. Operation where they're trying to run a color revolution to make sure that the election is rigged. At least this is where my mind was going. And so that I think that's very much what was going on here, right? You've got the incoming administration. They want in. The outgoing administration's like, okay, we've got to figure out how to stay afloat for the next 4 years. And so let's start laundering the money, and we'll have something there when we need to run or resurrect, intel operations and a shadow government. That's what this is about, in my opinion.
I'll tell you, I thought the same thing for a while, but now I'm starting to think that the money, we know for fact, as you pointed out, that Zelensky has and other whistleblowers that Mike and Sharona went over there to Belgium and interviewed. We know that the vast majority of the money sent to Ukraine did not make it to Ukraine. And so I've been wondering where this money could have went. I believe a lot of this money has been used to for the invasion of our borders in that aspect. And I wonder how much of this has been used to arm the cartels in Mexico. I wonder how much of this money has literally went to the Mexican cartels for human trafficking people into the United States of America. And I believe that's a fair question to ask at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree, especially considering we already know a chunk of that money or that went to weapons that Ukrainian generals were selling to people in the cartels. Now, all of a sudden, they've got man-pads and other, extremely dangerous weapons that can be used to take down U.S. aircrafts, modern technology that they otherwise would not have had their hands on. And, Paul, you sent this in this morning. This is a huge story everybody's starting to cover right now. Breaking purchase order for Reuters reveals the United States government paid millions of dollars for large-scale social deception. And, again, this is just breaking now. It's starting to get covered by everybody, but why is DARPA specifically funneling money to Reuters to generate headlines, to generate the narrative that they want? I mean, they've been caught in the act so many times now, it's not funny.
Yeah, I mean, so to link these two stories together, I mean, what we're essentially talking about is financing a war against the American people.
Yeah.
So, Derrick, if what you said is true about, this money going to funnel to the cartels, I mean, that's just kind of a proxy war within a proxy war. We're fighting a proxy war against Russia and Ukraine. We're also fighting a proxy war against the American people via the Mexican drug cartels. And then you have, and along with that, you've got to have the Mockingbird media. And so, you're funding these media organizations to do. For the first time, I tweeted about this earlier. I was going over doing some research for my show coming up, at the top of the next hour. And I was on the Associated Press's website reading about the USAID, and the Associated Press prompted me to donate to them. And now I have been, doing news and stuff for, over a decade. I've been, reading Associated Press articles for forever, and I have never been asked to donate to the Associated Press. So this tells me that these cuts are real and these news agencies are hurting.
Oh, yeah. Well, I saw that that with regarding Politico specifically, that the money, because it isn't just the $8 million, it's really, what was it, $33.7 million they'd been given just in the last 4 years, that accounted for a little over 8% of their total budget. And to all of a sudden have that ripped out from under you, most organizations, that's going to prevent them from, say, making payroll, like, what suddenly happened a few weeks ago. But it's also going to force cutbacks, because there's no way to just recoup that large percentage of your budget another way instantaneously after the USAID and other funding that was going to them, because some of this was through the State Department, some of it's through DoD. I mean, we haven't even uncovered all of it yet. Like, don't be surprised if that total ends up at 50, 60 million. Sorry, go ahead.
Real quick though, what was the phrase that was used? What was it line itemed as? Social control, social deception. What was it?
Yeah, I'll pull it back up here. It was large scale social deception.
Okay. How arrogant do you have to be to think you're just never going to get caught, to actually call it that? This is a rarity. Normally they try to I don't know, lie. They
Sugarcoat
pat
it.
They sugarcoat
Yeah.
it, but to just say, no, this is what it's for. I mean, how arrogant do you have to be to actually post that?
Well, that just shows you how comfortable they are with doing these things at this point. I got to clear some chats really quick. So we got Heather over here in the Ex America News chat. We've got Pita Chips, Maven, John Parker, new over here to the X chat. Appreciate you guys. And then Sean brings up a good point in the Getter chat. Sean says they paid several news organizations, but the rest use the same lies from those few. So all of this is technically 100% communist propaganda, because that's the thing. Reuters, Associated Press, or whatever, people would go and they would just circulate the same story. So it just got, and everybody assumed, oh, it's from the Associated Press. It's gotta be good. This whole thing is crazy. We've been talking for years about the left is so much better than Republicans at messaging. Well, now you just have to start wondering, have they really been better? Or are they just taking all of our money and funneling it into the messaging? You could say anything if you say it loud enough and enough times through some of these, through DARPA and some of these programs to brainwash people. And that's exactly what's happening, is they are literally brainwashing American citizens to the point, as Paul brought up earlier, that you have people right now who are not upset that there's government waste, fraud, and abuse of their tax dollars that's being stolen. They have been brainwashed into being upset at the person who's uncovering the government fraud, waste, fraud, and abuse that's taking place in our country.
Well, to your point, Derek, this is something we've talked about over and over again, and I'll try to phrase this in a way that's a little more family friendly. But we see a story laundered, like say for example the Hunter Biden laptop through Politico. Right around the same time they got a massive influx of cash, so that's laundered through Politico. And then we have the journalistic, let's call it a circle of jerks, where they then echo that same story and that same headline, referencing the other original laundered fraudulent story to thus create a narrative that the entire mainstream media then regurgitates. And anybody that counters that or brings up facts that disprove parts of the story, suddenly they're the conspiracy theorists. And this is the game they played for decades now. And, like we said over and over again, Operation Mockingbird never ended.
Yeah, they call it, Nancy Pelosi famously called it the wrap-up smear. So that's exactly what you're seeing here. I mean, it really goes to show you what an absolute blessing it is that we won in November. I mean, the government has been secretly funding all of our opposition. I mean, and we knew this was going on to some degree, but the sheer scale and coordination that we are now uncovering is just incredible. It is incredible that those of us on the right, whether we're talking about in the media or politicians, I don't know if I want to put politicians in there. Let's just say those of us in the media we're able to rise above all of this coordinated propaganda. And that just it's incredible to me, and we're going to continue to be amazed as this is uncovering. I know Musk was out there. Somebody was saying Musk is committed to doing this, for the next 2 years. Only 4 months.
I mean, as in he's sleeping in his White House office for the next 4 months, on the floor, on the couch, richest man in the world, out here sleeping on the floor in an office for 4 months to work 24/7 on this.
Well,
I mean,
now, I hope he doesn't. So, I mean, I hope he keeps going and we get to winnow our enemies here, because that's really what this is about.
Yeah, I think I'm going to donate an air mattress and a nice sleeping bag to Elon. If he's going to put in this time to sleep on the floor in his office, he should at least sleep comfortably, especially considering how much he's uncovered for just over the last not even 30 days. Look how much has been accomplished, and it's not even been a month. Well, the hits keep coming. FEMA found to have mismanaged billions during COVID pandemic. DHS report. Who would have guessed? So we're talking about $8 billion mismanaged by FEMA that either went to just nonsense contracts, waste, fraud, and abuse, or some of this is what later, ended up funding. Sorry about that, guys. The illegal alien invasion as they reallocated funds meant for COVID to whatever they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of the same. And you think about what's going on. You think about what went on with North Carolina recently. But obviously California. But yeah, the sheer waste here with FEMA, and that's why I really think it's pretty incredible that we're finally getting. And I never, back when Donald Trump ran in 2016, I never really believed that he would be the guy that would say, you know what, this is a state responsibility. And so he wants to send, FEMA back to the states, or wants to get rid of FEMA and leave it up to the individual states. He's doing the same thing with the Department of Education. I mean, how for years, for decades, we need to end the Department of Education, but nobody would ever do it. And now Donald Trump is saying he wants this department abolished and he wants to leave it up to the states. It's incredible. I cannot believe that we're actually seeing some agency shrinkage here. It's nuts.
And not only that, the fact that we're seeing this much of it this quickly, this early on, you know what I mean? This isn't something that, they're talking about and we're like, oh man, this is going to happen in the next year or whatever. No, this is happening now. And then the other thing with FEMA, people have to remember, is they literally purposely skipped over homes in North Carolina that had Trump signs or Trump flags displayed somewhere on their property. I don't know how you can even become more fraudulent and abusive than that as a government agency. And then, I mean, that's on top of stealing these people's money from North Carolina to send to Ukraine while they're out here hurting. I mean, that has happened as well. I mean, it's truly unbelievable right now. I do have some breaking news. First of all, Kash Patel, thank you, Dan Dreyer, in the Rumble chat. Kash Patel has been advanced out of the Senate committee. He will now officially move forward for a floor vote. We don't know when that's going to take place yet. RFK Jr. has officially received enough votes to be confirmed. It is officially time to make America healthy again. Somewhere,
baby.
Yeah,
That's right.
somewhere Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, their donors are very upset right now, but the rest of us can cheer gleefully. And then I did want to take a second to make sure I wanted to plug. I'm going to put it in my chat here as well, guys. If you guys aren't already doing so, especially those of you on X, everybody else should already have it. Go over to X America News. Follow that page there. We're bringing you guys some awesome content. Paul's show is actually on X America News. They're right after us. Amazing show, amazing content. You guys would really love it. So make sure you follow X America News. Turn on those notifications, and that way you can watch all the shows whenever you want to as they stream live to you right here on X.
Yeah, and we'll have actually some new programs we're going to be adding to the lineup over there next week. And I have yet another piece of breaking news before we have to take a quick break here. Deep state destruction. President Trump cuts funding to National Endowment for Democracy. It's been a bloodbath. All right, guys, we do have to take a quick break, and then we're going to be right back with even more. Stay tuned.
Play your trump card and support Make America Great Again with the Donor Deck. Get your hands on 52 exquisite playing cards, each with powerful quotes from scripture and stunning artwork. Plus, showcase your MAGA pride with a beautiful display case and a reversible challenge coin. By purchasing the Donor Deck, you become an official donor, contributing to our cause and helping President Trump reclaim the White House. Get your Donor Deck today and play your part in making America great again.
Go to the Patriot.tv store and get your Donor Deck now. Attention business owners and entrepreneurs, Patriot TV is launching a brand new TV series showcasing American-made products, and your business could be featured. Whether you sell your products online on Etsy or Shopify and dream of reaching millions of viewers on smart TVs like Samsung, Sony, TCL, and LG, or apps like Roku, Android, and Apple TV, this is your chance. We're searching for US-based businesses offering all types of products and services proudly made in the USA. If you've ever wanted to showcase your products on TV like QVC or the Home Shopping Network, now's your opportunity. Support our American economy, grow your business, and be seen by loyal Patriot viewers across the country. Know someone with a business or have a business yourself? Don't miss out. Contact us at supportingpatriots.com today. Be a guest on this new exciting TV series. Let's put your American-made products in the spotlight.
What do a neurosurgeon, a country artist, and a television and radio host have in common? They all saw the writing on the wall. Big banks sharing your financial information with big government. Join them as owners in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Invest today at own.oldglorybank.com.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the programs here on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. Let's just go ahead and jump right into our next headline. So this is in direct response to all these frivolous lawsuits that we've seen out of, whatever judges they can shop to push them forward. Trump supercharges DoGE with new executive order, set stage for large-scale layoffs. Yep, if they won't let us go in with a scalpel and just remove the waste, I guess it's time to use the sledgehammer.
100%. I mean, this is what they don't understand. I mean, every time they resist what Donald Trump is trying to do when it comes to him actually controlling his own executive agencies, they're just going to make it 10 times worse, right? I mean, so if they're going to challenge it, then it's kind of like the old saying, the wall just got 10 feet higher.
Yes.
This is basically what is going to happen. And, we're sick of it, and the people are sick of it. We want a guy that actually governs. And I think we are really witnessing the first real transfer of power. I think one of the Weinstein guys was saying this on Rogan the other day, since the election of John F. Kennedy, we're actually witnessing the first real transfer of power. And there's big changes that are going to be made. And, this is a system. We have to understand, this is a system that was unleashed on Trump himself. He knows it. It was unleashed on him in his first term. He was sabotaged. He was framed for treason. He was shot at least once. And then, we don't know how many more assassination attempts there have actually been. And so, yeah, I mean, when you take a shot at the king, you better not miss. And I think that's what this is. We're seeing this in real time.
Dude, you're so correct, though, on that, because it's one thing for somebody to tell you about the corruption, the weaponized government, the issues. It's another to actually not only experience it, but to feel the full wrath of that. I mean, people are forgetting they literally raided his private residence, went through his wife. I know to us, she's the first lady, but to him, they went through his wife's underwear drawer. I mean, think about this. I mean, so yeah, obviously he's ready to dismantle everything. I think it's awesome. I'm here for it. What I'm ready to start seeing are some of the other elected Republicans in the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate to find a backbone. They're not going to grow one, but maybe somebody can surgically implant a backbone into some of these people to start impeaching these corrupt judges that are attempting to legislate and acting as activists from the bench. I don't understand how they even have the audacity to think that they have the authority to step in on some of these issues. So, for instance, on the buyout offer, okay, so this is an offer, and these people knowingly accepted the offer. This is a mutual agreement. It's obviously a pretty good deal considering roughly 75,000 people have already accepted the offer. So how does a judge think that they have the authority to tell both sides, not just President Trump, they're telling both sides, they're attempting to, that you cannot participate in this mutual agreement? That shows you just the level of entitlement that these judges have. They think they have more power than the president. Yeah. This is a major issue, and it needs reined in quickly.
Yeah, I'll also, can I just add one more thing?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking through this practically. So if all of these executive agencies are leftists or communists or whatever, and Trump's like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to have these people around. Not only is it waste, and there's a waste and fraud, but these people are actively working against me. These people hate me. So I've got to get rid of them, got to fire them. Well, so then you say, okay, well, who are we going to replace him with? I think there's a practicality to this, because who in Washington, D.C., if we're talking about in-person work, who are you going to hire to come in that's already there? And I know people can move there, but I think the fact of the matter is, D.C. has been enriching themselves off the taxpayer for so long. It's very much an oasis, but it's full of a bunch of leftists. So from a practical standpoint, there really is nothing. You can't really do anything else. If you fire them, you're not going to rehire them. So we're just going to start getting rid of entire departments, because they're most likely going to be replaced, with lefties anyway. So that's the way I see it, at least.
Well, you're right on the money, and there is more to the story there. I do know that for a fact, the Trump administration already has I don't think I should share the number, but they have a very large number of people that already have been vetted for replacing some of these people once all the cuts have gone through, because obviously we will still need some people in a few of these departments in order to function. So as they go through, and let's also not forget, we're already seeing, exactly like we saw during the first Trump administration, we're seeing these little weasels leak things. We even had the FBI leak regarding the ICE raids. So we already know a lot of these bureaucrats can't be trusted, and that's part of why they have to go back into work. They can't be trusted. They need to have somebody watching over them to make sure they're not dumping real or fake stories to the media in order to generate headlines or warn illegals that ICE is coming or anything else to sabotage the Trump administration and the will of the American people. And to your point, Derek, too, we're this judge for these buyouts, luckily that's been overruled now and overturned, but a lot of these rulings from these different judges that were shopped are clearly unconstitutional. However, they're going to force it. It's a delay tactic. They'll have to appeal it, fight it further up the chain, and unfortunately with some of them they'll probably have to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, which is a giant waste of everybody's money and time for something that is clearly a constitutional duty of the executive branch. But, Trump's not taking this lying down. Here we go. Trump to hold presser tomorrow, which is actually today, is the headline from yesterday, to reveal the names of entities, people involved in government fraud and abuse. There's no chance that there's no kickbacks going on here. And this is something that's starting to really scare people. That and the threat to investigate individuals working for government have greatly increased their wealth over the last few years, inexplicably. Actually, Maxine Waters is up there this morning freaking out about it. Let me see if I can pull this quote from her here real quick. Sorry, guys, give me 1 second. She says, Maxine Waters sounds alarm after Musk announces DoGE will investigate multimillionaire government workers. We don't know what they have on us. Well, they're starting to see the bigger picture.
She literally said that out loud, just so everybody is aware. Before we kick it to Paul here, she literally said, "We don't know what they have on us." It was crazy. Go ahead, Paul.
No, I mean, it's just comical. It's comical that they, they're saying the quiet part out loud. You're exactly right about the judges. This and then the press conference. Okay, so I mean, whose names are going to be named here and how as people are saying this is going to be the spiciest press conference yet. I saw somebody talking about that. I mean, they are literally terrified of being called out and being named. And one of the media tactics that's been going on about all of this this week has been there's no proof. Right. Even when Musk was in the Oval Office during that press conference, Anderson Cooper, but there's no proof of any of this. Well, I think they asked for the proof, and I think they're about to get it. People's names are going to be named, and they're going to be really sorry. Again, the more pushback here, the worse it's going to be for them. I mean, they really just need to submit at this point because, he's got the power and he's going to use it. So.
Absolutely. Well, really quick, with some shout outs over in the Getter chat. We got Buck Wild over here. Buck Wild says these judges are Marxist plants that must be rooted out. I agree 100%. And then we've got in the X chat here on my feed, we've got Jen and Teresa new to the chat. Sorry if I missed anybody else. Apologize. One of the things that's frustrating to me right now, though, about all of this is you have Republicans are weak, spineless, jellyback rhinos who love to send out these strongly worded letters and emails and mean tweets with a fundraising link at the bottom. That's all they care about is trying to get your attention to raise some money. I mean, there's a few good ones. We got some of the people in the Freedom Caucus who's been fighting back against a lot of these things for a while, but they are complicit in all of this. I mean, we're blaming the Democrats for all of this out of control funding, all this waste, all this fraud, all this abuse. But guess what? Every single time that these rhinos voted for CRs or 5,000-page omnibus bills packed full of pork, they were advancing this government waste, fraud, and abuse that we are uncovering right now. Like I said, there's been a few. There's Thomas Massey. There's the Rand Pauls. There's the Andy Biggs. There's the Freedom Caucus people who have stood up multiple times and said, we got to stop doing this. We had Matt Gaetz, was really big on the single subject matter voting on these things. This is exactly why they have a 5,000-page bill. The leadership gives it to you. You got 12 hours before you vote on it. And these people were just pushing yes because they wanted to go home for Christmas. That's fine. I want to be home for Christmas with my family as well. But guess what? If you run for the U.S. Congress or the U.S. Senate to actually affect 300 and some million people in this country, probably affect everybody globally because this country is that powerful. You took on the responsibility. If you have to give up Christmas with your family, celebrate Christmas on the 29th if you have to, because you need to keep your butt in Washington and actually get these things accomplished without all the government waste, fraud, and abuse. So I'm tired of giving the Republicans a pass on this because they're just as guilty at the end of the day.
I mean, Trump is exposing the whole system. You know, for years and years, you might get a congressman in your local, your district who runs and has a good platform, and you think he's our guy. And, for decades, they go to Washington and everybody basically asks them to do the opposite of what they promised their constituents they would do. So what we get is decades of excuses. They come back to the district, and they just give us excuses of why it can't be done. Why, whether it's John Boehner or Paul Ryan or whatever, they give us excuses. And Trump is actually saying, no. I mean, if you get an executive in here, he can actually really make some changes here. And on your point on the Republicans, I saw this clip of Bernie Sanders making the rounds back before, he was kind of beaten into submission himself, where he was asked by a mainstream reporter about the border, and he called it, the open border. Well, that's a Koch brothers policy. And they're like, what? Yeah, that's a Republican policy. They want the open border so they can get cheap labor. And so this was back when he would actually, tell the truth now and then. And so to your point, we have been sold out by both parties for entirely too long.
Oh, exactly. And, Derrick, to your point there, if you're there in Washington, D.C. to serve the people, that is going to involve some sacrifice, meaning, yes, sometimes you're not going to be able to go home on Christmas to spend it with your family, or you're going to have to work through a holiday or stay there late. Sometimes, we may get back to the point of doing real filibusters. Maybe you're going to have to stand there on the floor for 12 hours till you hand off to the next person to prevent the left from destroying the country. You're there for a reason, and that's going to involve at least some level of sacrifice. I want to pull, before we have to go to our next break, I want to pull one other story here, because we've seen Jamie Raskin out there crying about a class action lawsuit. Oh, Elon Musk got all your personal data from the Treasury. Well, they seem to be forgetting something. So I've got headlines on here from 3 different places, from Money Watch, from Reuters, and the last one is from, I think, the New York Times. Sorry, I didn't grab their logo on that one. But anyway, Chinese hackers access U.S. Treasury Department workstation, obtain unclassified documents. The U.S. Treasury says Chinese hackers stole documents in major incident. China hacked Treasury in major breach, U.S. says. So we know that when China pulled this breach, and this looks like this occurred back on December 31st, so just before the end of last year, that they got personal data from just about all Americans, Social Security numbers, dates of birth, payment information, all that fun stuff. And they didn't seem too concerned about this, but they are very afraid that DoGE got in there to look at the records in a way that was read-only, not write access, as they keep going out there and lying about. So why is it they're crying about Musk and DoGE going in there, but they could care less about China gaining access to our treasury? Well, I guess that's because we're already writing them checks anyway, huh?
Yeah, you would go ahead, Derrick.
I'll just say, I'll quickly say, I find it comical that the very people who are complaining about this, their data or whatever, these are the same left-wing blue-haired moonbats, as Mike calls them, that are out here who got mad over TikTok and started knowingly downloading that other app. It's Red something or whatever, where they were purposely giving their data over to the Chinese government in protest of them potentially banning TikTok. And then furthermore, I don't think that Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, I don't think he has anything he could do with my identity. If he wants to switch places, I would be all for that. But I'm sorry, I don't think that he wants this bank account, this credit score, all these things compared to what he has. I don't think that he wants that. And take that for the same thing. A lot of these people are saying that are living in Section 8 government housing somewhere on food stamps. They're like, Elon Musk is going to steal my identity. It's like, no, I promise he doesn't want anything to do with your identity.
It really goes to show you the grip that the media can still have on some of these people, right? I mean, as long as they're told that there's a decent man in the White House, then we have a decent government, and then they sleep good at night. I mean, it's common knowledge that, right, the government has all of our information, like bad actors have it already, right? I mean, everything we type online. I mean, we live in a surveillance state, for crying out loud. And so it's ridiculous that these Democrats are coming out there and you're like, oh, we don't want Musk to have the information, when it's clear that, the government will use anything they have, against an average citizen, to trump up charges or whatever. If they have the ability to do that, they have forever. So it's all theater, and it's all, trying to create some new boogeyman. But if the media will tell them, the media will make them scared. Oh, Elon Musk will have access to my information. And they're leaving out the part that, all your information, you're being spied on anyway.
So. What? I got two things for this really quick. Number one, I agree with everything you just said on that point. One of the things, though, is I've always wondered. We've seen reports, we've seen people claim that, like, Anderson Cooper, for instance, is a CIA asset, or this person is that person. They're all part of the Mockingbird media, and you now knowing what we have already uncovered and looking back, like, you have to think how many of these people in the media truly are potentially a CIA asset of some sort that are out here for brainwashing and mind manipulation and all these things. I mean, it is truly concerning when you're dumping that much money into that, and these people truly are brainwashed into believing all these things about this. And I'll say one other thing. You're to your point there on them spying on people with the Patriot Act. They're already spying on whoever they want to spy on without a warrant, without any repercussions. They don't need to, secretly put somebody into one of these administrations to go through millions of files to find you individually. They'll just go spy on you and get whatever information they want to from you. And there's nothing you can do about it right now under this current setup.
Exactly.
Oh, exactly. And I think they're really more concerned about what you just said, Derrick. They're more afraid that at some point it is going to get exposed that a lot of these people are still on the CIA payroll. I'm looking at you, Anderson Cooper. We got to take one more break, hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back to wrap things up.
Have a new product or idea, whether it's already in production or just a concept. Whether you're an individual, a small business, or a medium-sized company, our upcoming show on Patriot TV is here to showcase it to millions and launch it in a big way. We're looking for businesses like yours to feature your product on our new show and pitch it to over 6 million followers, eager to support like-minded businesses. Whether it's a single product or a new product line, we have a platform to skyrocket sales. With powerful Patriot TV ads, targeted direct mail, and the influence of our dynamic show hosts, your product will get the attention it deserves. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Email us now at advertise@patriot.tv to secure your spot and watch your sales take off.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
If I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep. It's showing up more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the great programs here on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. Give Cardio Miracle a try. I've been using it for the last couple of weeks. I have noticed a huge difference in my daily energy level, and I've been able to cut down on the coffee and caffeinated beverages that I drink every day, which I'm sure my heart is thankful for. With RFK Jr. just getting confirmed, it's time to make America healthy again. Well, guys, we're going to shift things up a little bit. And here from Pam Bondi, breaking: Trump's DOJ sues New York officials for prioritizing illegal immigrants over Americans. I'm going to go ahead and pull this next one, too. Kristi Noem claws back $59 million in FEMA money, which, you know, they were too broke to help people in North Carolina or even California for that matter, spent on housing migrants in New York's luxury hotels, including Laken Riley's killer. I mean, this is unbelievable, but it's just, again, what do we expect? And I'd like to see some criminal charges for some of these officials in New York, but I guess this is at least a start.
Well, so, you know, Eric Adams those charges have been dismissed by the DOJ. So he got some good news this week. And of course, the only reason they raided his house, the FBI, Biden's personal police force raided his house anyway, was because he was speaking out against this immigrant problem, this illegal invasion of New York City. And so now I would say that, you know, the clawback, the $80 million, because I saw Eric Adams out there the news is covering it. What are you going to do? You know, and he's requesting, I think, an emergency meeting.
Yes.
But I think this is going to force Eric Adams' hand to be like, let's get rid of all of the illegal aliens in New York. Like, I'm going to cooperate with Tom Homan. I'm going to cooperate with DHS, and we are going to mass deport all of these illegal aliens out of New York City.
Yeah, we already know what hotels they're staying in. That ought to make it pretty easy. But yeah, this is Derek sent this early this morning. New York Mayor Eric Adams asked for an emergency meeting with Trump after FEMA cuts $80 million grant for New York City illegals. It's unfortunate that people in this administration left us with a huge price tag. Uh-oh, it's unfortunate you wanted to help with the invasion of our country. You know, Adams is a fair weather friend at best.
Yes.
And, you know, again, this is really sick. Sorry, Derek, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so what they're claiming is, hey, you know, we agreed to take these invaders, and you agreed to give us this money. Well, the government did, and now you're taking it back. And he's crying about that, saying, well, now we're getting stuck with a price tag. Good.
Yeah.
So this whole time you wanted to be a sanctuary city until it's time to do sanctuary city things. You wanted to be a sanctuary city, but you wanted all the rest of the country to fund and pay for your sanctuary BS garbage so that you could, you know, prance around and pretend that you're, you know, virtual signaling and that you're better than the rest of us. I didn't know that we were the ones paying for all this entire time. You want to look down on the people of West Virginia and Kentucky, Ohio, South Carolina, or wherever, because we don't want these people in our country to begin with. But yet you want it, then you're going to steal our money, make us pay for it, and then prance around as if you're better than us when it comes down to this. I'm sorry, like, paying the $80 million should be the least of your worries, because I think all these people who facilitated and aided and embedded the invasion of our country, I think they should be in prison. I want to see them in shackles. I want to see them dragged out of their offices, out of their governor's mansions, out of their mayor's office, in shackles with the whole world watching as they're kicking, screaming, and crying. Put it on pay-per-view. Use the money to fund more deportations. I'd be all about it.
So I think the left only has principles as long as the money's coming in. I think we're going to see real quick the abandonment of leftism if you just defund it. If there's no free money, I don't think people are going to be as passionate about, you know, the border being racist if all this money dries up.
Yeah, well, you guys both hit it exactly. Yeah, that they're fine virtual signaling as long as they can force the American people to pay for it. But the minute it starts affecting New York and its own budget, they just scream at the sun. But you know, I wouldn't expect anything less from them. Speaking of screaming at the sun, and I know you got to run here quickly, but let's just pull these last couple, because Kremlin confirms Putin-Trump summit on the way as Zelensky warns against cutting Ukrainians out. And breaking, Trump speaks with Zelensky, says Ukrainian leader wants to make a peace deal. Well, yeah, I bet he does now that the funds are running out. And yeah, I'm sure there's already bullets with his name on them.
Funny how that works out. You know what I mean? You cut off the money, and now all of a sudden they want to talk peace, which is what a lot of us in America have been saying this entire time. That Zelensky had no incentive to want to negotiate peace as long as we're still sending him hundreds of billions of dollars and weapons. Why would he want to negotiate peace? So this is a great thing. President Trump is the president of peace.
Zelensky, Trump low-key reminded everybody yesterday in the Oval Office that Zelensky suspended elections and made himself a dictator. And I thought that was brilliant because he was like, well, Zelensky's going to have an election at some point, which I thought was great. This post here by Trump is absolutely fantastic.
And back up.
I've got it pulled up here too. The fact that he says that they plan on visiting each other's countries, that Trump and Putin plan on visiting each other's countries, is just incredible to me. I mean, can you, with all of the propaganda, all of the Ukraine flags and all of the people's bios, all of that whole psyop that we had to witness and get to the bottom of, and the idea of President Vladimir Putin coming for a state visit here in America, can you imagine how people are going to melt down? I mean, it will be a meltdown for the ages, and I'm looking forward.
It's going to be glorious.
Yeah, exactly. There's not enough antidepressant and antipsychotic medication in circulation for all these people right now. I know you got to run, Paul. You got to get ready for your own program. Any pearls of wisdom you want to leave our audience with? And what's the best place for them to find you and follow you?
My pearl of wisdom is I think the work that you, Michael, and you, Derrick, are doing here on the Insurrection are fantastic. I really appreciate your show. I also appreciate X America News and everything that's going on there on that X account. Just encourage everybody to follow. My show's coming up there in a minute. The Millstone Report. We're going to be talking with Michael Hitchborn from the Lepanto Institute about USAID and Catholic charities and everything else, like getting $1 billion. So we're going to talk about that. But I thank you guys for having me on. The hour has gone by so quick, and I'd love to do it again sometime. And I look forward to the future. And it's good times. So
absolutely, I want to encourage all of our audience to go over to X America News. I just put it in the chat here as well. It's easy to find. Go to X America News on X. And watch Paul's show coming up next. It's a really good show. It's very informative. I think you guys, if you like our show, I think you'll like his show as well. And that's the thing. We now know that all these other mainstream media has funded communist propaganda against the American people. If there was ever a time to support independent journalists and podcasts and such, now would be the time to do so. So go over to X America News, follow the page, turn on notifications, watch shows as you see them come about. There's a lot of really good shows coming to that network.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks again, Paul, and we'll definitely get you back on here again soon. All right, guys, we got one more headline related to Ukraine, and then I want to try to a couple things where we got to wrap up. Breaking, Trump rules out NATO entry for Ukraine. And again, you want to send all these these uniparty stooges in DC and in our media right to the moon. Well, this is how you do it. You tell them no NATO for Ukraine.
Well, the only thing I'll say is if Ukraine wants to join NATO or whatever, as far as I'm concerned, America should leave NATO. And then at that point, I don't care who NATO admits after we are no longer a part of it. Ukraine can have our spot in NATO for all I care. But I think that's the way forward. I think we need to leave NATO and let them do their own thing and wash our hands of that.
Yeah, especially, considering the demands that Zelensky's made and the threats he's made over the last several years. Letting Ukraine into NATO will make the entire world less safe. This guy wanted nuclear weapons as part of any kind of peace agreement. And not to mention, NATO, against the will of the Romanian people, has built a nuclear missile base in Romania now and even put some weapons there. So NATO, Honestly, I don't think NATO can be trusted anymore. I think they once served a purpose during the Cold War. It was a strategic alliance against the Soviet Union. Now I think they're dangerous. They are a globalist tool that makes all of us less safe as they push for endless war around the world and as they continue to push for a conflict with Russia.
Yeah, and one other thing on that, man, is they literally have said that they were going to send troops to Greenland to protect Greenland from America. And I'm sitting over here. Do they forget who's funding NATO? Like, we're not going to pay for your troops to go to Greenland to defend it from us. And I mean, these people are crazy. We have no reason to continue funding this NATO scam. I would imagine when they start doing some digging on that, I would imagine there's a ton of waste, fraud, and abuse that's taking place there as well. And we're funding that to a massive tune right now. We need to send that money back to the American citizens, and NATO can start a GoFundMe account. And if any of these left-wing people want to donate to them, then they can donate their own money individually.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And, that might be harder to get donations from people like George Soros now that their USAID funding has been cut off. But we'll see what happens. And yet another story that's, again, making our media just completely apoplectic are the Trump tariffs. And we're going to have a big announcement on this later today. Trump to unveil reciprocal tariffs in hours. Here's what they will look like and who will be the biggest losers. And again, the fact that what they keep the context, historical context and facts that our media keeps leaving out on this is that a lot of these tariffs have gone on from our allies on U.S. products, U.S. exports for decades, unanswered, in many cases in violation of existing trade agreements. Now, sometimes they don't call the tariff a tariff. They'll call it a tax on a particular product. But the end effect is that it's a tariff. So it's time to rebalance trade so that it is even or works out in our advantage as the United States. We have the muscle. Most of these countries need us a lot more than we need them. And again, like these steel tariffs and other things, this will help to bring back U.S. jobs. I listened to a long thing about this morning where they were talking about like the price of steel specifically, that again, you won't see a huge cost increase, if any, at the production level here in the U.S. or at the retail level when consumers are buying things. It's just going to create new jobs and new opportunities for Americans here as our steel industry once again comes back online. And for other countries that will eliminate their tariffs, get things back to a normal level, then trade can continue as normal.
Absolutely. And when you really quick, I want to give a quick shout out because I know we're almost done with the show here. Some people I missed over in the X chat. We got Steve, we got DS in here, and then we got Other Not. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Kristen, as always, appreciate you, and Thaddeus. Thanks, guys. And I think that's it right now on that note. But yeah, look, the media leaves out that these countries are already tariffing us much more than what we are to them. So Trump is a businessman. He's looking at this and says, hey, we're being taken advantage of here. For instance, on that chart, you could see like China and Thailand and India, for instance. We are tariffing them this much and they're tariffing us all the way up here, like on that graph. Like there's a lot of room to be made up there on this. And at the end of the day, we've got to start producing and manufacturing and making things here in America. Once again, that is the way that we actually, I believe, save our country long term anyways.
Yes.
Is to get back to producing things here in America.
Well, one last thing I want to bring to your attention before we close out. Somebody in D.C. must be listening to us because the time has come. Rep. Brandon Gill wants to arrest and deport Ilhan Omar to Somalia for treason. Thank God somebody in D.C. has got two brain cells to rub together. Because, again, she's been at war with our country. She said she's Somalia first. She's there in the U.S. Congress to represent Somalia. She's advised illegal aliens on how to avoid deportation and violate our laws. Time for her to go. She wants to be an activist. She can be an activist in Somalia.
Absolutely. Well, just so those who don't know, Brandon Gill is the son-in-law of Dinesh D'Souza. He represents one of the congressional districts in Texas. So you already know he's based on that. And he's a freshman congressman. He's already coming in making waves. And I think this is awesome. And I agree. Deport Ilhan Omar as well as her husband brother as well.
Yes, her husband / brother. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us today. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And we'll be back tomorrow.